the case today was truly horrifying. In this case, a girl fell in love with a boy, and everything in her life changed completely, even her name. As this missing persons case progressed, it uncovered deceit, conspiracy, and much more. This story is a lesson for all girls who, without fully knowing or understanding someone, leave their homes. Today's story comes from Lucknow, with connections to the districts of Gonda and Barich. The story revolves around a girl named Ishrat Parveen, a 22-year-old from Madhya, Lucknow. She was beautiful, cheerful, and had a lively personality. Ishrat regularly visited a gym where she met Pushpendra, a trainer there. Their friendship deepened quickly, and eventually, they fell in love without realizing it. They couldn't imagine life without each other, but their love faced many obstacles because they came from different castes. Their families were unwilling to accept this relationship due to religious differences. Pushpendra decided to pursue a modeling career in Mumbai, which saddened Ishrat greatly. She couldn't bear to be without him, so they decided that he would go to Mumbai first to establish himself, and then she would join him by convincing her family with an excuse. Pushpendra moved to Mumbai, and soon after, Ishrat followed him, leaving her home and even converting to his religion. She changed her name from Ishrat Parveen to Soni Tiwari, and they got married at a local temple in Mumbai, starting their life as husband and wife. Initially, everything went well, but the COVID-19 pandemic struck, and Pushpendra lost his job. He tried his hand at modeling and worked at a gym, but neither worked out as planned. Financial troubles began, and they returned to Lucknow. Soni rented a place in Adi Nagar, while Pushpendra returned to his hometown, Gonda, where he started a gym business. Soni often asked him to come to Lucknow so they could live together, but due to family pressure and business commitments, he couldn't stay with her. Despite their love, they continued living apart, though Pushpendra visited occasionally. On September 6, 2022, something mysterious happened in Lucknow. When Pushpendra went to meet Soni, she had disappeared. Pushpendra reported her missing at the Sushant Gulf City police station, saying he had dropped her off near Phoenix Palacio Mall on September 2nd, but she hadn't returned home since. The police began investigating, and upon questioning, Pushpendra disclosed their entire story, from their love to how she became Soni Tiwari. He told the police that he had dropped her early in the morning, around 6 or 7 m.e., and since then, her phone hadn't been answered. The police tracked Soni's phone, which was still active near the mall, and found it suspicious that it was left on in that location for days. Pushpendra's story raised doubts because it seemed unlikely that someone would leave their spouse so early in the morning just to meet someone. When questioned, Pushpendra couldn't give a satisfactory answer about who Soni had gone to meet. The police grew increasingly suspicious of Pushpendra, as the situation raised multiple red flags like why he reported her missing 4 days after her disappearance. Under pressure, Pushpendra finally confessed that he had killed his wife, Soni. He revealed that he had planned her murder with his brother Govind Tiwari and a friend named Suraj Verma. On September 2nd, after spending some time with Soni, Pushpendra invited his accomplices to her rented house in Lucknow. Early in the morning, while Soni was asleep, they held her down, and Pushpendra suffocated her with a towel, taking her life. After the murder, they left her phone near the mall to mislead investigators. They put Soni's body in a plastic bag and planned to dispose of it. 0. With Suraj's help, they loaded the car and drove from Lucknow to Barich. In Barich, a river named Gaghara flows. In the strong currents and high waves of this river, he threw Soni's dead body. After doing this, everyone went their separate ways. According to Pushpendra's plan, he returned to Lucknow and waited a few days so he could later tell the police that he had waited for his wife, searched for her everywhere, and when he couldn't find her, went to the police station. Pushpendra had another motive. He hoped the case would cool down by then and that Soni's body would never be found by the police. Finally, on September 2nd, Soni was murdered, and on the 6th, he went to the police station to file infer. Despite all this planning, Pushpendra was eventually caught. It was crucial for the police to find out the motive behind the murder. When questioned, Pushpendra told the police that he and Soni had been living separately, and he suspected that Soni Tiwari was having an affair. That's why, he believed, she didn't want to live with him and chose to stay apart. Although Ishrat had converted from Islam to Hinduism, Pushpendra's family had found out about it and were strongly against a Muslim girl being part of their family. They constantly pressured Pushpendra to get rid of her. Faced with family pressure and frequently fighting with Soni over these issues, Pushpendra, who was a gym trainer, ended up killing his wife so brutally. To erase and hide evidence, the three of them watched a recently released movie, Drishyam, multiple times. After committing the murder, they used ideas from the movie to deceive the police, staging a plan with Soni's mobile phone. Pushpendra even hid her phone, but the police later recovered it from the place he had hidden it. The police eventually arrested Govind Tiwari from Gonda, who confessed to everything during interrogation. This entire case, which started with a kidnapping, ended in murder. Soni, whose real name was Ishrat Parveen, had risked everything for this man. She had left her family, siblings, and her old life behind, ready to forget everything just to be with him. Tragically, under pressure from his family and consumed by suspicion, Pushpendra ended up killing the girl he once loved. When you love someone but cannot sustain it long term or have to leave it behind under pressure, why love at all? I don't understand it. When you know you cannot take love forward or sustain it for a lifetime, you have no right to engage in it. Whether Muslim or Hindu, wrong is wrong in my view. Please share your thoughts. I am very interested in knowing what you all think, so be sure to let me know in the comments. The date was March 14th, 2022. A woman named Anamika Myra, about 35 years old, went to a police station in Gwalior and told the police that her husband fought with her a lot and had even tried to kill her once. The police, thinking it was a minor domestic issue, assured her they would call her husband to the station and warn him. Anamika also revealed that her husband was not who he seemed to be. She suspected he was a serial killer. Initially, the police thought she might be exaggerating because she was unhappy with her husband. But she continued, saying that about 6 months ago, she had found old documents of her husband with different names and photos that looked unlike his current appearance. She suspected he had done something terrible in the past, possibly even being a serial killer. She also discovered evidence of large-scale fraud and that several police reports had been filed against him. The police started to take her claims more seriously and decided to investigate. They began gathering details on Rajendra Myra, Anamika's husband, checking records in nearby police stations. In the police station, news spreads to pull out all cases against a man named Rajendra Myra. The police initially thought it was a straightforward case and that they just needed some evidence to arrest him. During this time, they discovered an old record from about 5 years ago where Rajendra Myra had a minor dispute with someone. This convinced the police that there might be some truth to what his wife was saying. Shortly after, they found another case involving Rajendra in a fraud worth 3.6 million rupees. His wife had mentioned that he was involved in financial scams, which seemed to be true. However, Rajendra Myra's wife, Anamika, was also claiming that he was a serial killer. Although there was no concrete evidence to prove this, her other accusations about theft and assault were verified. The police began to wonder if he might indeed be involved in a murder. When they asked Anamika for her story with Rajendra, she revealed that they first met on a train when she was traveling from a village to Delhi. They were seated next to each other and struck up a conversation. Rajendra, who said he was from Gwalior, offered to help her find a job in Delhi as he had good contacts there. During their journey, they became good friends, and upon reaching Delhi, Rajendra even arranged a job for her, which deeply impressed Anamika. Eventually, their friendship turned into love, and they decided to marry. Rajendra introduced a man named Kuldeep Myra as his father to her family, adding credibility. Rajendra was wealthy, which pleased Anamika's family, and they married in 2014, moving into a high-end society in Gwalior. They had a son, and everything seemed fine initially. However, over time, Rajendra's behavior changed, and he began arguing and even physically abusing Anamika. She endured it for a while, but as the fights escalated, she took her son and left for her father's house in 2022. While packing, Anamika discovered old documents where Rajendra's name appeared differently each time, sometimes as Rajendra Myra, Rajesh Myra, Shamshir, or Rajiv Myra. Suspicious, she began to fear that her husband might be a serial killer. Without wasting time, she left for her father's house. When Rajendra found out she was gone, he tried to contact her, apologized, and begged her to return. But Anamika refused. On March 14th, 2022, he called again, asking her to meet him once to apologize. When she refused, Rajendra came to her house, forcibly took her in his car, and attempted to harm her. Luckily, she managed to escape due to the presence of a large crowd, then shared the entire incident with her father, who urged her to report it to the police. Once in custody, Rajendra thought the police would question him briefly and let him go. However, the police had other plans. Upon interrogation, Rajendra confessed that his real name was Rajesh Kumaria and revealed a horrifying past. Rajesh was not well educated and had a troubled youth in Gwalior. He befriended an older man named Manoj, who was married with 3 children. Rajesh began an affair with Manoj's wife, Jita, with the intent to take over Manoj's wealth. The two eventually conspired and killed Manoj, disposing of his body in a river, ensuring it was never found. Rajesh then married Jita, and they moved to Uttar Pradesh, where Manoj's property was located. After about a year and a half, Rajesh murdered Jita, her 3 children, and even her nephew, who was visiting at the time. He disposed of their bodies so thoroughly that they were never found. With the help of his brother-in-law, Rajesh sold off all the property and moved to another state under a different name. After a series of other crimes, including fraud and manipulation, Rajesh eventually met Anamika, married her, and planned to take over her father's transport business. The police were shocked by Rajesh's revelations and, after gathering all evidence, permanently imprisoned him. This story highlights the importance of thoroughly knowing someone before entering a relationship, as people can sometimes hide dark secrets. Let me know your thoughts on this story, and don't forget to subscribe and press the notification bell to stay updated with more such thrilling stories.